Hey, Peachtree, what an exciting year in ministry that we have before us, because our hope and our aspiration is that we're learning how to dwell with God. We're learning how to pray together and to pray the words that people have used for centuries in order to come into a greater knowledge and relationship with God. The book of the Psalms has given voice to our prayers throughout the years, and Rich Villodas is going to help us to be able to discover what it means for us to dwell in God's presence. Enjoy this conversation. Rich, welcome back to the Peachtree podcast and our series on Dwell. It's November, the time of Thanksgiving. What's your favorite Thanksgiving kind of tradition or food or?
My wife makes in great turkey. I mean, it's just a great turkey. We also have in Puerto Rican culture a pork shoulder. It's pernil. So it's just pork shoulder that's seasoned with garlic and salt and pepper. It's just the best thing in the world.
Yum.
So those are that's the go-to right there. And of course the rice and the beans and all the stuff
I love
there.
the confluence of what you're talking about of like the classic American turkey, but also with the Puerto Rican influence there.
That's right.
Come on.
That's exactly right.
I
So
am salivating right now. That just sounds.
yeah, I don't know if it's syncretism or whatever it is, but it's
If it is, it's the right kind of
That's right.
syncretism.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's the right kind. So, I mean, it's almost cliche that we've put gratitude in this month, right? Like I almost just feel like it's stealing candy from a baby, but it does. You know, the turn of the month does make us think about what we're grateful for. Just what are some things you're grateful for? Let's begin with that.
I am grateful for my, and it feels like cliche to go down the road of like start with my family here. I'm grateful for a wife who is incredibly loving, incredibly strong, pursues me and our children in a way of wanting to see us grow in Christ likeness. So really grateful for that. Grateful for my two kids who are delights. Grateful for a church family that I've journeyed with for about 17 years and has seen me since I was, 28 years old, and all the ups and downs, my mistakes and their forgiveness and their grace towards me. And grateful for, I live in New York City. I love this city. And so just grateful to be in this particular part of the world in this particular time.
One of the things that's just apparent to me from hanging out with you is your genuine love of where you live and your genuine love for your family and your genuine love for your church. Some of the most jaded people I know work in churches.
Yeah.
And the love of the body of Christ has just suffered. And so thank you for just the way you know how you can tell a good thing about a marriage by just the way that the spouses talk of one another. I think that's true also for pastors.
Yeah.
And the way that they talk about people talk about their pastor and the pastor talks about their people. Gratitude is something that is a practice. It's something that we do. How do we help to strengthen our gratitude?
I think I have found it helpful whenever Thanksgiving comes around to ask, have like a kind of thankful test. I think gratitude is compromised when we compare, when we complain, when we covet. And it's usually those three areas that every year at our dinner table at home, we're asking, to what degree are we comparing our lives to others? Because that'll get in the way of gratitude very quickly. Gratitude is a knowing awareness that we're the recipients of goodness. And it's turning to the source of that goodness, who is God. I think about the lepers who, they were healed and one came back and was like, thank you for that. That was great. I just came back to say thank you. Like gratitude is a knowing awareness. I was the recipient of it and I'm turning toward the source of that. I think when we compare our lives, we miss out on all the goodness that is ours because we're so caught up on what others have. We covet. We reach out. Someone taught me how to memorize the 10 Commandments on your fingers. It was a little kids ministry thing. I never forgot it. And then when I teach that 10 Commandments, I teach adults how to memorize it. But the covet, for those who are listening, it's like you have your two hands out and you're grasping. It's like covet. And to live in a world like that there, as opposed to live in a world when we're open-handed towards God, compromises our gratitude. And then, of course, there's good complaining, I think healthy complaining, and then there's just really unhealthy complaint. And so growing in gratitude, I think, requires us to name some of those things. But going back to that definition, it's a knowing awareness. We're the recipients of goodness.
One of the common refrains of the Psalms is like to give thanks, give thanks. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Oh, give thanks to the God of gods. Oh, give thanks. Like it almost feels like it's an outburst.
Yes.
If you will. It is can't contain it. It just erupts from the core of who we are, that we aren't being defined by the coveting and the complaining and the comparing, but that we're sensing the goodness of God just spring forth from within us. And so I think when we talk about giving thanks to God, it's a matter of it being genuine and it being really specific.
Yeah.
Like I think specificity is the key to sincerity. And anytime we are thinking that gratitude is just a mood of some sort, like it's this is just how I feel. No. It's very concrete. I give thanks because or for blank.
Yeah.
I give thanks that my wife wants more from me than I want from myself. I give thanks because of whatever, that kind of to fill in that blank. And I think the Psalms helps us to give language to some of those types of things.
Yeah. When I hear that, I hear there is a way of saying thank you, and there's a way of having a life oriented around gratitude, where we can say thank you 100 times a day, and not being polite. Held the door. Oh, thank you. Elevator. Oh, thank you. Hey, nice shoes. Thank you. That's just a polite, culturally appropriate thing to say. And yet we can say thank you 100 times a day and not have a heart that's marked by gratitude. Because to your point, gratitude takes time, doesn't it? Your point about specificity, particularity around something good has come my way. I'm going to spend time contemplating to offer good words in response to that. At our dinner table, we do this usually Sunday nights in our family, where we have our little family devotional catch-up time. And part of that time is, what are you thankful for this past week? And you know what that forces us to do? Think about the past week. What's actually happened this past week? And as we look back individually, it's like, now this week went by pretty quickly. What happened? But I think gratitude there's particularity to it, specificity to it, which means it requires us to concentrate our energies on the gifts we received, but in many respects very easily ignore.
So I've got the gratitude dwell notes here from some of these. And I was going to do like a little firing round about what comes to mind when you have each one of these. So this is the first one in the month, and this is Psalm 100. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. What does that have to say about gratitude?
My first thought about that is sheep can be pretty dumb.
Lord, I thank you for my ignorance.
I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you've redirected me a number of times. And so, Lord, thanks for redirecting me when I've gone down my own way, So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
All right, here's the next one. I feel like we're playing a game show.
Yeah.
This is kind of fun. All right, this is Psalm 50, 1-3. The mighty one God, the Lord, speaks and summons the earth from the rising of the sun to where it sets. From Zion, perfect in beauty, God shines forth. Our God comes and will not be silent.
Yeah. My first thought with gratitude is, I just thank God that God is the one who's running the show here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big job. And the world does not revolve around me. Praise God. The world is held in the grace of God. This is Colossians chapter 1. He's before all things, and in him all things hold together. It's like they're not holding together in me, that's for sure.
My wife used to work at a university, and the college president at the time was having, a buzzword in university politics is shared governance. And there was this power struggle between the faculty and the administration. And the president said this one phrase to the faculty. She said, "You don't get to have authority without responsibility."
Mm. Mm.
I have often thought about this when I think about God has both the authority and the responsibility. And what happens is in our sinfulness, we want more agency, authority,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want the corresponding responsibility that comes with it. And because I haven't quoted Dallas Willard in a while, Dallas said we should regularly thank God that he doesn't give us something that we are not ready to bear. It's responsibility.
Yeah.
And I am not ready to bear the rising of the sun when it sets. Next one. Ready?
Yes.
Psalm 136. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever.
My thought immediately goes to the need for daily grace in my life. His love endures forever. In some form or fashion today, I'm going to mess up at home. I'm going to mess up on, but thank God, his love is unending. Sin goes deep, grace goes even deeper.
Yeah.
That's what I'm grateful for.
It is like a reservoir that you can, no matter how bad the drought, no matter how much your need is, you cannot get to the end of it.
Yeah.
It's deeper than you can fathom. I often think about those moments. I was on my honeymoon and we were on a lake in the Italian Alps. It was Lake Maggiore. And I don't remember, somebody ought to Google this and send me an email with it, but I don't remember how deep the lake was. But it was one of those things, we're on this tiny little boat, we're headed off to a tiny little island. And they told us, this lake is 1,500 feet deep. And you're like, wait, what? And it just, my head exploded to think that there was that much depth beneath me. And I think of that when it comes to analogy, the love of God, the nature of the scope of an unending, undying love should fill us with incredible gratitude. All right, last one of the fire round here. This is Psalm 107. Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story.
My first thought goes to Walter Brueggemann said something in his book on the Psalms, where all the Psalms are meant to climax in speech. I have to bear witness in gratitude for the ways that God has entered into my story, and I just can't keep it to myself. There's something powerful to bear witness to, and I think that's what we do throughout the season. I must bear witness to a God who's been good to the world and to me. So I'm going to tell my story.
So in this month, we're talking about, giving thanks every day because you belong to him, because he is not silent, because of his love, and because of your story. Like all these different aspects of what it means to try to conceive of God's loving posture and the way that he has given us so much more than we could count if we were trying, right? If you even just the way stay with the story theme, you turn around and you look in your rearview mirror and you see the numerous ways that God has been involved with you. It's pretty inspiring to think about what God has done.
Yeah. And he invites us into his story, which is absolutely remarkable. He's doing something in this world right now and says you get to be a part of it. What a gift.
So when you get to be a part of God's larger story, that probably helps to break those cycles of coveting and complaining. And I can't remember what the third one was now, but
coveting, complaining, comparing.
And comparing. Yeah. Because for me, one of the things that happens is I can get so fixated on my story and my wishes, my needs, my feelings, all of those different things, and me, my, that I need to be invited into the bigger narrative so that I can see with a proper
Yeah.
perspective.
I've seen, my temptation is to look at my little story in comparison to somebody else's story and build a sense of self, my identity, based on the comparison there. And God is saying, you're thinking far too small here. There's a larger story that I'm calling you into. And what would it look like for you to surrender your story in Dallas Willard language, to surrender your kingdom
Yeah.
for a larger kingdom? There's something else at work here. That's grace.
Yeah, it really is, which is at the root of this word in terms of the Eucharist is the word grace
Yeah.
in the original New Testament. So as we try to pray these kinds of prayers, as we are going about the rhythm of saying these things over and over and over again, how do we come to the point where we don't just parrot the words, but we can come to mean them?
I think two things come to mind. One is, I think there is something really powerful about writing our prayers. The Psalms are written prayers, so we benefit. Someone took the time to say, I'm going to capture these prayers in writing and hand them down. I do think there's a level of depth that comes with writing our prayers. It's one of the reasons why I've been journaling my prayers for the last 26 years. I have a number of journals in my home that chronicle my failures, my longings, answered prayers, frustrations. And when I look back, I see particularity, specificity. I'm more patient and attuned and attentive to God's work in my life, as opposed to just throwing out prayers up there. So I think, number one, I think writing our prayers down. But back to, I think, a running theme we've talked about in different ways. I think it requires us to take far more time than we're used to. The deep work that God wants to do in us can't be rushed. And I know what some listeners might be thinking. I have a bunch of kids. I don't have much margin. And so I get the specific family dynamics and work realities. But in a given week, I do wonder, what would it look like for each and every one of us to say, I'm going to set aside, like I would a dentist appointment, I'm going to set aside some time to contemplate more deeply the love of God, the gifts of God, the grace of God, and to turn back to God in thanks. I think so. Making space. I've talked about at our church, two areas of discipleship are paying attention to our outer pace and our inner space. Outer pace and inner space. And as we do so, I think we have a greater capacity to pay attention to the gifts of God that are available to us.
I love that, the outer pace and the inner space with that. And I also really appreciate what you talk about with your prayers and writing them out. I also think that there is something about a holy repetition.
Yeah.
That is not rote. It's more.
That's well said.
Did your kids ever do this where it's like, Dad, 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 and they're like poking you the entire time, and you're trying to sleep or you're trying to do something else?
I call that Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the kind of thing where you just poke, and eventually, like, they're not really poking you all that hard, but the cumulative impact of the 50 times they're tapping on your arm or whatever it is, it eventually it breaks you. It gets you to the point where you get that. And he is not silent. He is not silent. He is not silent. He is not silent. I mean, just poke,
Yes.
and eventually maybe you get through that and you say, you're right, he speaks. He speaks to me.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's one of the things that people have been experiencing And so my hesitation with this month on gratitude, not the cliche side of it, is that people will have entered into this month of like, oh yeah, I got this. Like, I know what we're going to say.
Yeah.
I know I ought to be more grateful for what I have and have a better perspective. I pray actually that the Spirit of God through these scriptures is like a child poking at your soul, and that you get to the point where you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
I love that.
Yeah. So may the persistence of God's presence be with you. Rich, thank you so much for your gracious and wise words.
It's been a joy to be with you. Grateful for our conversations.
Well played. All right. Thanks. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, a conversation where we're beginning to learn what it means to dwell in God's presence and for God to dwell with us. We hope that you will look for more information on our website at peachtreechurch.com/dwell for more information, to give us feedback, and to let us know that you're participating in a life with God in a whole new way.